Hi, my name is Amy Morgan. I am President and CEO of Gooding Communications. We are an accessibility-focused full-service marketing agency and SaaS company. Today, I'm going to be demystifying the WCAG 2.1 AA manual auditing process and the remediation process. We'll be using Gooding's proprietary software, ClearShot. So stay tuned for more. Let's start in the best place I know to start, which is our very own website. Practice what you preach, right? So today we're going to be working through Good Aim's About page. I will show you what this looks like. All right. So we will start right here. This is the before of our website, the About page. And you will probably not notice a whole lot that has changed between this and this. This is the after. However, even though a lot of these issues are not shown as being resolved on the front end, it really is accessible for those who have disabilities per the WCAG guidelines. So let's talk a little bit about what this might look like. Here's one part of the remediation that shows is a visible change. It is the search bar. And as you can see here, it's not very easy to see. And there are actually some keyboard functionality issues, which we'll unpack here in just a moment, that goes beyond this. But here's a visible change. You can see here. So this is before and this is after. So let's see what actually happened behind the scenes and what we did to fix it. In ClearShot, this is just to give you the lay of the land. This is ClearShot. This is our first issue that we're going to work through on Good Aim's About page. It is a keyboard navigation failure. This is a description of the issue, the search icon button pinned to the top left corner. It doesn't trigger, it needs to be able to trigger a modal when pressing enter, and it's not possible to type or use the search feature without a mouse. So here's the technical details with the URL. You have that handy. You have comments that can be added back and forth. This can be a collaboration. And Noah, one of our web developers, he provides before and after. So some code snippets. This one in particular, not a code, but he fixed this a code snippet, I would say. And what it does is this has been updated on our homepage and our About page, but it listens for clicks on the search button, the open the search button, and it focuses and selects the search field input after a 50 millisecond tick, which is quite responsive. So really at the end of the day, it allows the search field to focus immediately, and that keyboard users are able to type without an extra tab. And these little nuances really do make a difference in accessibility. As you'll see here, I'm just going to give you a quick tour while we're on this first page. You'll get to see the status of this particular one is completed. We have already remediated that. You'll note this is the severity of the issue, the priority, the category. This was based on feedback from a local hospital who had access to our software and gave us this feedback that it would be really nice to have categories for, is this a code-based issue, a design-based issue, a text-based issue? So that lets us kind of divide and conquer when we're in the remediation phase. So the assignee was here, Noah, and this shows you the level of WCAG that the issue is attached to. So this is really just back to the WCAG 2.1 single A. If you wanted to attach add attachments. This is possible through this commenting phase. You can upload, let's say, for instance, a PDF was noted to be out of compliance. That could be a place where the updated PDF could be shared. So let's go on to the next page, which has even a little bit more detail. This is an error where the anchor element had no link content and no name or ID attribute. And so that's a problem that we were able to identify and fix. Here is the CSS selector, very handy while you're going through. And here's the HTML snippet. Now there, you can see here, we have a couple of comments, and Noah has said, there's before and after. There were 4 empty anchors in the widget that was used for the social networks setting. And for those of you who at least understand some basic code, the href, after the href, there was not Facebook.com. There wasn't a kind of direction on where to go. And so that wasn't linking properly. And that was resolved. So before, it had the href without the URL. So when you click on that Facebook, it wouldn't take you anywhere. And we have fixed that to where it goes to facebook.com/Gooding Communications, and et cetera, with the other social media platforms. So that's what was identified here and resolved. The next couple I'm going to talk to you about have to do with color. And this first one is very nuanced, so stick with me. This one has to do with links that don't just rely on color to signify that they are a link. So this helps us screen readers go through to note this is a link and not just text of a different color that may not fully register. So we had in a section of our About page our brand color red, and it was not to signify some of, it was the social media links. Well, it's for our podcast. So there was Spotify and YouTube and Apple Podcasts, etc. And it was just our color, our brand color of the red, which is lovely, but we didn't have the underline. And so we adjusted that, and that was actually a global fix that we made. And that's something just to note too, as issues come up, even though sometimes, they can look like, oh my goodness, there are so many issues. Some sites will have thousands and thousands and thousands of issues. Don't freak out. And some of these can be repeat across different sections. And once you have them fixed on kind of a global scale, that can make some of the remediation go a bit quicker. Now, this is the nuance around the color here. We'll talk about in the next one a different sort of color contrast ratio, but this one has to do with the color of our text, where we were saying Spotify and YouTube, which we now have underlined. The problem is that color red was not, it did not have enough contrast with the text that it was surrounded by. And so our software will help, it will identify the link text and really what it should be changed to, which is pretty handy. And so the minimum contrast ratio is 3:1. In this instance, the differentiation between the linked text, the different color, and the text around it, surrounding text. And so here we have some text colors, and I'll show you a little bit of before and after. So this is the theme default here. And after this is how it was updated. And these 3 inline links, the Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, in the Mindfulness Academy section, that paragraph, it was that brand red color, and there was a dark gray body text. And so there just wasn't enough differentiation. So you can see that. These are the color codes that were used, and these were updated to the proper 3:1 ratio. And now we're compliant with that. Before we move on to the next issue that I want to talk about, which has more to do with color, I did want to show you ClearShot. Now that you've seen, the desktop interaction, we also have a ClearShot Auditor companion, and this comes along as you're going through a manual process, the manual remediation, and you can see that it will help guide you through how the contrast checker in different instances, what they are, what they should be, and helps you know what is that contrast ratio as you test it out. So this is a really wonderful resource. So back to another color contrast issue. The other issue that was identified on our page was that there was color on the foreground, so what you see, and then there is the background color that there was not enough contrast ratio. So according to WCAG, the contrast ratio in that instance, the background and the foreground, the contrast ratio between them should be 4.5 to 1, and ours was not. So you can see that it was flagged, and here's the foreground color, and here's the background color. Even gives you, font size and different things like that, and kind of what the contrast ratio should be. And so we worked through that. And you see a little bit of the before and after here in the comments section. Specifically, you'll see that the accent gold, and here's the number, and the on-brand red, it only gave us a 4.35 to 1, which is very close, right? Only 0.15 away. However, we were able to adjust that and ensure that we really exceeded the contrast ratio. And here is the last issue we're going to be talking about today, which is that the touch target was too small. The target that we had, this particular icon, the social media icons, I believe, I want to say maybe in the footer. Yeah, widget. Yeah, these social icons in the footer. They were only 22 by 22 pixels. And the minimum is 24 by 24. So guess what we did? And you can see this is a minor one, right? We were close, but it definitely could use to be, addressed. And so there are ways that you can prioritize as you go along, and our team really leads that. So here you can see that the icon size originally, this before, was 22 pixels by 22. And right here, this is the after, and it is 24 by 24. So now we have this lovely page with all of this, all of our underlines, not just red text, and the dark colors, so there's enough contrast. All of this has been updated, and now you can see that our Facebook icons will go to facebook.com and the proper URLs down here. So this is really lovely. I did want to show you behind the scenes a little bit more about kind of the overall issues that we're working on with Good Aim. So you can see here on ClearShot, you can see the number of pages we have. We have 60, and our initial scan was 350 issues. And so we're working through all of these, and you can see we talked about today. So these are the ones that were kind of most recently edited. That keyboard navigation feature with the search bar. You can see some of the contrast ratio colors that we were talking about, and so forth. And so a lot of these, yeah, completed. And you see here the severity, which can be edited by the team, as well as the priority can be edited, but these tend to be auto-filled. However, again, we can adjust those. The WCAG tells you which criteria this is aligned to, really handy for reference, and the assignee is who is assigned that particular issue to do the full, manual auditing and the remediation. So these are the 16 issues that we have been working through on our About page on goodaimcommunications.com. Also in the site, you can see the sitemap all branched out, really lovely. And my issues is where a particular team member, their assigned issues are to be placed. So you can quickly go, one of our team members can quickly go and see what's all in there. If we collaborate with your team, let's say you have a designer who will take on the PDF remediation with some training from us, great. We can assign those to your graphic designer and track it. She can upload, he or she can upload to the site, and we can check and get that uploaded onto your site. What's also just really handy is you might have the same situation with a videographer. Perhaps you have videos on your website that do not have captions. That could be something that could be assigned out to your videographer, and they can upload, send us a link, and we can download and upload to your site. I did want to give you just a little look on how all of this works. As the page is scanned through the ClearShot Auditor Companion, you'll see that this is the order in which the keyboard focusable element will tab through. And you can see details of those underneath of these as you expand. So this lets you know they'd first see, the Good Aim Communications logo, then they get to About and Our Services, etc. All right, you've seen the issues report, and that's really the summary of how all of this works. I hope this has been really helpful to you to see behind the scenes what really happens after the digital audit. That would always come first, but the manual audit is very technical and it does require a human. You really cannot be fully compliant with your website if you do not engage in manual auditing. So this showed you a little bit about what that entails and what the remediation, so those comments of what was actually addressed and updated on the site, so there is a record. The beauty of all of this too is that ClearShot is wonderful for your compliance team, as you would be able to export from ClearShot and see when an issue was identified and the history of the addressing of that issue. So if you were ever audited or called into, God forbid, some sort of legal situation, you would have proof of what has been done and what is continuing to be addressed. So that's a beautiful thing for your whole team, a peace of mind just to know that you are really working towards compliance. And as a closing thought, it's really important, and our team talks about this a lot, that we remember the human side of all of this. There are a large number of folks who live with disabilities, and it's pushing 30% of Americans, North Americans, United States, who have disabilities, and a large number of those, over 75, huge amount, have disabilities. And what I have found is that when folks do have disabilities and they go to websites, that if it's not accessible, there is a feeling of not being included, a feeling of the welcome mat is not placed out for me. This is not a place that values me and wants me as a patient, as a client, etc. And your online accessibility is just as important as the wheelchair ramps and other disability addressing features in your physical space. This is your online space, and it's just as important. So keep that in mind. And if you are interested in learning more about WCAG, if you're more interested in potentially working with Good Aim, using our software, ClearShot, I would love a conversation with you, see if it's a good fit. You can reach out to us through goodaimcommunications.com and submit an inquiry through our contact form. We'd really love to talk with you and help you and your organization become compliant. Thank you for your time today, and be well.